One. All right, welcome to the latest episode of Conversations. I am Tim Gordon. Joining me is a man that I have been acquainted with for close to 20 years now. Think about that for a second. When I met this brother, he had made a film that was light years ahead of his time, and we are there now. This brother recently won an Oscar last year as one of the co-writers, along with Spike Lee and a couple of others, for the film BlacKkKlansman. Oscar-winning screenwriter Kevin Willmott. Welcome to Conversations.
Thank you, Mr. Gordon. Good to see you, my brother.
Woo! Wow. So we got a lot to talk about, man, but I'm just going to kick it off, man. The Five Bloods, had an opportunity to see this film. I've really liked, this is your third collaboration with Spike Lee. I know Chirac and BlacKkKlansman. This film, man, I really enjoyed it. I understood what Spike was trying to do with it. I saw so many different things in the film. There was aspects of get on the bus. There was some things that were kind of hinted around that gave me some Treasures of Sierra Madre vibes. I saw a bunch of stuff, man. So talk to us, first of all, what was the process of you guys creating this and how did it come together?
Sure. Well, they were, Spike gave me a call and said that there was a script called The Last Tour that two other writers, Paul and Danny, had written. I forget their last names, forgive me. And they were interested in us rewriting it and perhaps by directing it. So we gave it a look, and I think, when I work with Spike, it's kind of shorthand in that sense that we're always looking to make it a black film, obviously. Right. So there was one black character in the original script, but we saw this as an opportunity to really turn it into a movie that would really be about Vietnam from a black point of view, and really examine the black experience in Vietnam. So we looked at that and thought, the script that Danny and Paul wrote was really good, and we just were able to kind of take that and then turn it into kind of what we wanted it to be. And so we added the flashbacks, we added the Storm and Norman character, and a lot of the stuff that makes a Spike Lee film.
So from having worked in this business for a long period of time that sometimes you can work on a screenplay, and by the time it goes through all of the different channels and all the different avenues, by the time it comes out, it's the subject matter might be cool, but it's just not really hitting. The timing didn't work. Man, who would have known that you guys would have worked on this film, and by the time Netflix put it on the calendar, that the entire world is turned upside down, and now your film is speaking to an audience that is hungry for content about Black folk. Talk about the cultural and social implications that now suddenly are attached to your film, that Netflix has put it in the Black Lives Matters category. I mean, so that worked out well for you guys, the timing on this.
Yeah, I mean, the deal, Tim. It's like you're always hoping that you can make a film that really speaks to everyone, to the world, that and addresses the problems that we all care greatly about. And unfortunately, with the death of George Floyd, it made everything a lot more relevant. And you can make any Black film about Black history and about the plight of Black folks, and it's unfortunately there's going to probably be an incident happening around that time that you can link it into, unfortunately. But this was such a profound, horrible crime and murder by the police that I think we could have never predicted it, but I'm just glad it really speaks to what's going on right now. And I just really hope that people will take it for for everything that it's worth. I think people right now are really, as you were describing, I think really hungry right now for moral kind of nutrition. You know, it's kind of a real desert experience in the country right now with the pandemic and with Trump and with everything that's going on. It's just, you know, I think it's just, we've all been cut off at the knees in a sense, you know, and the fact that people have responded in the streets like they have,
right.
You know, we just hope that this movie can just give people further power and focus and understanding of what we're all really fighting about.
Now, I love everything you said, and I'm going to just pivot a little bit because I thought about you earlier this week. I was listening to CNN and Don Lemon, and of course the conversations that came about with HBO Max removing Gone with the Wind, and you know, so I'm going to do another
Right.
show this weekend talking about now this is the next frontier, because if that's the case, there are about maybe 40 years of films that, you know, we're going to start nitpicking the sensitivities of film. There's a lot of films.
The list is long.
Oh, the list is real long.
The list is long.
But I wanted to address your film because the film that brought you to my attention was your mockumentary called CSA. Of course, it put you on Spike Lee's radar as well. And I was listening to Don Lemon earlier this week, and he made a statement that I was like, man, Kevin Willmott is a genius, because he said that Donald Trump is not the president of the United States of America, since he wants to hold on to the heritage and the older traditions, that he's the president for the Confederate State of America. And I said, wow, Kevin Willmott. So when you were writing this,
and my thesis belongs to,
man, bruh, look. So talk about that film that you made, which also I am encouraging people to revisit that film because it is so timely to looking at the current events now. Talk to the audience a little bit, for people who are not familiar with CSA, what this film is about, and why do you feel it is? I feel it's relevant, but do you think it's relevant today?
Sure. Yeah. Well, no, thanks, Tim. And you've been in my corner with this film for a long time, and that's why I love you, bro. But yeah, you know, he is the president of the Confederate States of America. He's the president of the CSA. And my thesis has always been that we go back and forth between living in the USA and the CSA. Mm. Right now, we're in the CSA. 8 years earlier, you know, when Obama was president, we had 8 years of living in the USA. And what that means is that, you know, all the things that America says it stands for, you know, freedom, liberty, justice, equality, all those things that's a process that's going on. And when you have a leader that believes in the USA, then freedom increases, and we move closer to what the USA really means. And we had 8 years of that with Obama, and now, you know, we should have known there was going to be a backlash, and the backlash, you know, was, you know, we want to go back to the CSA, and you know, the CSA is, you know, limiting freedom. It's about, you know, being hard on gay folks, being hard on Black folks, being hard on women, you know, being hard on immigrants. You know, the list is, you know, we all know the litany of it. And that is the metaphor we've been living in the USA since the creation of the CSA, which was, you know, when Abraham Lincoln was assassinated. And they murdered Abraham Lincoln because they, you know, John Wilkes Booth wanted the CSA. And he murdered Lincoln, and they got the CSA back with President Andrew Johnson. And since then, we've been going back and forth. Most of the time, we've been living in the CSA. And that's why we have all the Confederate statues all around the country. Every state in the Union has Confederate monuments, North and South, because we, you know, in them losing, they actually lost on a battlefield, but they won in their attempt to hold on to their way of life. And so the North became segregated. Some of the worst what's the worst city Martin Luther King ever went to? Not Birmingham, Alabama, Chicago, Illinois. So, that is the legacy of CSA and USA. And that's a battle we'll be having in this country, for the rest of our lives. But that's how I think we should look at America, that we are trying to become the USA, but we're always fighting the CSA.
Well, it's funny, and you're absolutely correct with everything you just said, but I was just trying to explain to somebody a couple of days ago about the brilliance of this film that you made. I'm a history guy, and I like to study history, and and right now I think we're living in variations of 3 different parts of history right now: 1968, 1918, and 1929, all together at the same time. But the thing the thing I loved about your film was reimagining what life would have been had the Confederates won that war, and everything that this country says it stands for, and how that would have been so altered in the CSA. And I was telling somebody the joke that I remember going to a screening to see this film, and there were 3 people in the theater. Myself and another close friend of mine who was African American, and a Jewish colleague of mine. And early in the film, when some of the scenes were going on, my Jewish colleague was laughing, hee. And then by the time it got to 1937, and the Jews were living in a compound in Long Island, I was like, oh, that's not funny, huh? Oh. So I still think it is a wonderfully made film. It's a film that I have to go back and revisit. I have not seen it in a number of years. I know you got a copy, man. Hook me up, man. Send me a link or something. Or you want me to put some money in your pocket and go to Amazon? What do you want me to do? And yes, can you tell people where they can see this film, man, where they can find this film?
Sure. Well, it is available on streaming on Amazon, and it is on Hulu too. So those are probably the 2 most available sites. And then you can order DVD from Amazon as well.
So is it on Prime, or is it just on Amazon?
It's on Prime. It's on Amazon Prime.
Nice. Well, no, I'm good. I can check it out if it's on Prime.
And it's on Hulu too. So all you can just if you got Hulu, just go to Hulu and it's right there.
CSA, the Confederate States of America. You got to check that film out. Trust me. You're welcome. All right, Kevin. So you and I have not had a talk, because I know you and Trey Byers were working on the 24th. Do you have an update on this film? Did you guys finish it?
Yes.
And so, okay, talk to us. Tell us about this film.
Yes. Yeah. Sure. So it's called The 24th. It stars Trey Byers from Empire and Michael T. Williamson and Thomas Hayden Church.
Nice.
And a lot of really other fine actors in it as well. And it's about the Houston riot of 1917. And they sent 700 Black troops to Houston, Texas in 1917 to guard the construction of a place called Camp Logan, which was a camp to train soldiers to go to World War I. And the pandemic was happening during that time, which is really interesting. Anyway, of course, Houston is horribly segregated with just a monstrous police force, just the most racist guys in the world. And so these Black soldiers show up in Houston, and the police started to brutalize them. And these guys were veterans of the Spanish-American War, right, the Philippine insurrection. These guys were, they were used to being treated with a degree of dignity. And eventually one of their colleagues, they believe he's been murdered by the police, and 150 Black soldiers marched on Houston, Texas, and went after the police.
Wow. Okay. Okay. You had me at marched on. So
it's the largest murder trial in American history.
Wow. All right.
And it's,
So did
and
Trey
it's
bring it to you, or did you bring it to him?
I wrote this about 20 years ago, and I couldn't get it made anywhere. It would always get me jobs, but no one would touch it, you know. And where I learned about it, there's a photograph of 64 guys, black soldiers, from the 24th on trial at one time, and they're all together in one photo, and they're surrounded by white guards, white soldiers all around them with weapons and bayonets.
Wow.
And this was the largest murder trial in American history, and it was basically, you know, buried. The story was buried, but the incident was used to really kind of justify not integrating the military for many years because of, you know, black soldiers, you know, mutiny. They said they mutinied and went after the police. But it's another one of those stories of how the police and black folks have been at war since the end of slavery, you know, and that tradition still goes on today.
So I guess the best question, because if you had that movie coming out behind the Five Bloods, I'd be like, man, you are winning the social and cultural war with these films, man. So do we have any ETA on this film, or is it just not postponed, but like delayed because of where we are in the pandemic right now?
Well, we were going to premiere at the South by Southwest Film Festival. It was all set to go, and of course they canceled the festival. But I just got word a couple days ago that they're trying to push it through quick. Hopefully it'll be out at a pay-per-view thing near you real soon. So kind of keep looking for it. The 24th is the name of the film. Kind of be looking for. Hopefully we can get it out there, and because obviously it really speaks to what's going on today in a very different way than the Five Bloods does.
Well, you do know that there's this film festival where I live called the Lakefront Film Festival in Columbia, Maryland. And we had to postpone our festival too. But since I know the screenwriter and director, and we're on Zoom right now, I wouldn't have an issue Zooming and introducing the film to my audience if the movie is either already out or about to come out.
Sure.
I don't know. Maybe I need to call your people, and your people can put me in touch.
Well, as soon as I got it, bro, you got it, bro. So just know that's the deal.
Got you, man. All right. So here's my favorite question for you, because I hadn't talked to you because I was starting because you were working on this film. The last time you and I were in the same room together, we were at the Critics' Choice Awards, where I told you, hey, man, I think you got a good shot to win. And I was correct. You did win. You won that night, and then you won again subsequently when the Oscars came out. So how has life changed for you since you have the trophy? And where is it? Is it in the study somewhere that I can see it? Where's it at?
I got it downstairs in my crib now. This is my office I'm in right now. Well,
look, Kevin, look. Really?
You're not buying it?
Yeah, man. So how's life changed for you, man? Or has it changed for you since you won the Oscar?
Well, it's just been real busy. It's just really since that night, it's been kind of almost nonstop, and not in a bad way, in a great way, but it has been nonstop, and I'm definitely not complaining. It's a good problem to have. I just go from project to project to project to project to project, and it's great. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. It's been it's a life-changing kind of experience. Clearly, I did a lot of speaking all around the country before the pandemic happened, which is really great because I love talking about these issues that we're talking about. But I think that's the biggest change, is just really, living in Kansas, I'm not around, the celebrity world. So, I just go back to, being that black guy that makes those movies around here. And that's kind of a good thing, because it just, my regular life is really normal, and it allows me to focus on what's hopefully important.
So, we talked about, of course, the Five Bloods, which is the reason why I wanted to have you on tonight. You've shared and talked about the 24th. We've talked about CSA. This thread of like what's happening today, and when I say this thread, I mean all these events that have happened. The threads of this in a lot of the films that you make, and we haven't even talked about another one of my films that I shared with you. You sent me the link for Destination Planet Negro. That I remember I was sitting on a train trying to watch it on my phone, and everybody kept looking at me like, "Why are you laughing?" I said, "Man, first of all, he's got a robot that sounds like Strom Thurmond." Man, brother, you are not getting enough credit, man, for the work that you do. So I guess my question to you, Kevin, is, right now you're going from project to project, and people love the strength of your pen. That they can bring you in, you can write these screenplays. But I know you have a burning desire to be out there as a director. Is this just what you're gonna do right now until you get your shot? And once you get your shot, you're like, "Hey, man, don't call me about writing these screenplays anymore."
Well, if that happens, that would be great. I tell you, Tim, I've always I love writing. I mean, writing is probably the closest you get to being, perfect, in terms of execution. It's never perfect, but when you feel really good about a script, it's a compromise after that, right? Everything's a compromise after that, typically. But if the 24th would help me to kind of move into directing more, that would be great. Either way, I'm fine, man. I guess for me, it's more about, I just want to tell the important stories. I want to tell the stories that I care the most about. I mean, that's one of the reasons I lived out here, and because it was easier for me to kind of write my own movies and then go and make them if I had to. When Hollywood wasn't interested in making them, I would just make them myself. And I like not asking permission. I like not having to, because that thing you talked about before about how, usually it gets watered down, it gets changed. Somebody doesn't like something, right. Somebody doesn't understand something. And that stuff really can drive you crazy. Let me tell you, I've gone through that recently. It really, and so it was a great reminder of how good it is to make your own films and kind of have your own kind of vision. What doesn't mean that I don't take input from all the people I work with. I mean, that's the beauty of filmmaking, is the collaborative process of it all. But you do kind of have a final say. And that's the thing that Spike is very fortunate, because when I work with him, I think it's because of his success that he's able to kind of get it his way to a large degree, and he'll ask my opinion, and typically he takes my my notes pretty seriously, which I really respect. But most people don't have that kind of ability to kind of do it their way, and so if that could happen for me, where I got the chance to kind of have the real vision. I mean, CSA was my movie. I mean, everything in there is my choice, and if I had to work with Hollywood to make that film, it would have never been what it is today. Because they would have been afraid of most of that stuff. They would have not understood half of it, So that's kind of one of the reasons I still live in Kansas. I always say to myself, well, if it comes down to it, I still got a camera. I still can get out here and get my people together and do my thing if I got to. Because the compromise of it all is a big part of it for me.
Right. No, I agree with you, man. And I think, it's this artistic thing that always is a struggle. Like you said, you could have more money in your pocket, live in New York or LA, have the studio deal, but at the same time, then you'd have to deal with people, as you said, I don't understand what you're trying to do. This didn't test well. You need to change that. or you can stay in Kansas, or in Dave Chappelle's case, live out on a farm in Ohio and keep yourself grounded. Do what you need to do. Like you said, the winning the Academy Award has opened up some doors and has gotten you more work. So it's not like you're running out of money anytime soon or running out of opportunity. So I just want it for you, so I can be as proud and as happy for my friend as I was on Oscar night when I was hosting an Oscar party and they announced BlacKkKlansman, and I went, yes, Kevin.
Yeah, it was a great moment, man. You know, and you know, I tell you, man, you know, I mean, it's people like you that have really given me the opportunity to do my thing. Because when you make a true independent film, you need reviewers and critics and people that write about film that will take it upon themselves to help get your movie out there, and you were a big boost to CSA and as always. But I mean, it's people like you that you know, that helps the Kevin Willmotts of the world, man. It's, you know, it's a real critical function that you know, guys like you have in the world, Tim, in terms of film.
Well, brother, you know, like I said, I've been fortunate over the course of 30 years of doing this to really be in the room with some folks, man, but to meet the genuine folks, that doesn't come often, man. So, you know, whether it's you living in Kansas, you know, we just known each other for a long period of time, whatever it is, man, Kevin Willmott is my guy. So I'm always looking forward to your project. I mean, seriously, I mean, you know, this is not, I'm saying this on air, but
no doubt, man.
Destination Planet Negro, another film that people are sleeping on. You need to get that one on Amazon Prime. That one was pretty good as well. Another.
That's on Amazon Prime too.
Nice. Well, folks, if you know, we talked about CSA, Destination Planet Negro. Definitely check that one out too. So Kevin Willmott, brother, it's always a pleasure having you on. The Five Bloods, people can look for it tomorrow on Netflix. You know, you've got the 24th at some point. People need to keep their ears to the street. At some point, that's going to drop as well. And God knows what other projects you got working on, man. Because, you know, between you and Spike, you and your ghostwriting duties, you and your indie stuff, you know, I can't keep track of all of it, man. I just look at the trade and go, Kevin Willmott, yeah, that's my dude, yes.
Right on, Tim. Right on, man.
All right,
well,
brother.
thank you, brother. I can't thank you enough, Kat.
Nah, man, it is my pleasure, man. And as I said, I just want to thank you once again for making sure this conversation is so very special for my audience and for myself as well, bro. So you enjoy yourself, man, and stay safe, man. So I don't know what's going on either with COVID-19, racism 20. You got to be watching out for both of them these days.
the viruses, right?
Both of them, man.
The both viruses. Yes,
brother, you take care of yourself, man. I will
brother.
be in touch with you soon, man.
Okay, very good, Tim. Thanks, Doug.
Not a problem, man. That was good, man.
All right, bro.
Take care, man. I'll hit you later,
you
bro.
too, Tim.
All right.
All right, babe.
Bye.
Bye-bye.